All right. So, Rebecca, thank you so much for doing this with me today and
Thank
letting me
you.
ask some questions. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself and I guess how you know me, maybe?
Um, well, I'm Rebecca, and I am married to Bill, and you know both of us. Mostly, I think, through goats and farmsteading and that type of thing, and appreciation of land and property, that type of thing. Really important in how we do things, and I think we have a lot of similar sort of ideals, and so we just kind of have gotten to know each other that way.
Yes,
Yeah.
you're one of my absolute favorites. So I'm glad I get to ask you these questions. So we're talking about buying a house right now, and I know you and Bill have purchased and sold and multiple times really in your lives. So my first question for you would be, what was the easiest thing about buying a home and using a real estate agent in the past?
I think finding a real estate agent that knows and understands property when we have to talk about easements and that type of thing, clarifying really specific things about the property is important. We've had to deal with mineral rights and either maintaining those or keeping those or putting those within the sale were a big deal to us. Making sure that all of that moves throughout the right process so that we can maintain what we want out of this sale is a huge deal. And so having a real estate agent that understands those things, you understand property, like the versatility that you bring to the table has just been so valuable to us.
Thank you.
And so those are things that we look for, value, and definitely has made things a breeze. Yeah.
Good. Thank you. I love doing property for that reason. I think I really just have a passion for it just because, you know, I mean, you and I can talk all day about goats, homesteading, horses, you know, all the things, which makes it a lot of fun to then work with you as a buyer or seller because we have so much in common.
Right.
And if I don't know the question, which sometimes I don't, sometimes I have to lean on the county or the town or whatever, but I know enough, right? And
Yes.
definitely to make the process smooth. At least that's my goal.
Yes.
And you mean so much to my heart, both you and Bill, because you are hands down one of my biggest referring clients. Referrals are such a huge part of my business. Looking back and reflecting on this year, I did kind of an analysis of where my business came, and I think all but 2 of my transactions this year were referrals. So thank you for that. And can you tell me a little bit about why you feel comfortable referring me to someone as special as your very own kids?
Yes. I know that versatility was important to us. The care that you give when you think about a client's specific needs, whether it's big property or whether it's a starter home, is a huge deal. And it was easy for us to say, hey, Lindsay, can you please take care of our kids? Make sure they find the starter home that they need, that fits their budget, that fits the things that they're asking for.
Yeah.
I know that you showed them several homes. I know that, you know, when you go in, you talk to them about the pluses and minuses of each of those homes that they looked at. If they were just completely not interested, or if they were all in, you were a voice of reason even.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important, especially with first-time home buyers.
Yeah.
Which is so great. I mean, we need sort of that objective person, but in addition, a professional that knows and understands what that market looks like so that they can find the home that they need.
Yeah. Yeah. I loved it so much. I treasure both of them, and they were expecting their first baby, and I just really took it to heart. You know, it's like I just want to wrap them up in my little arms and make sure that they're safe and loved and
I love
protected
that.
and build a beautiful family there. But, at the same time, make a really wise investment for their future as they stair
Yes.
step through life and grow and change and their needs change. And then also build wealth.
Yes,
So.
absolutely. And I think they learned so much in the process. I think you answered questions they had. Any of these little things that come up, they have no idea even what to ask. And so as you prompt them with questions or things to think about, it's a huge deal. And the learning that they were able to have in the process is big. And yes, they had that baby so close to that closing.
I could not believe it. I was like,
right?
are we going to
Yeah.
make it? I
Yeah.
actually don't think Joe wasn't she? I don't think she was at the signing because I think she was in the hospital.
Yes.
She was.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how close we were.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, we had to hurry. I think part of that transaction I remember is the relationship that you build with that seller's agent and being able to bring them in. And because at the time, I think there were multiple offers on that home, and how were we able to get our kids into that home was all because of the conversations and the relationships that you build. And, I think maybe some people take relationships for granted, but you build those. You understand the importance behind relationships, and I think that's what got them their home.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
I do find that sometimes that's really what it boils down to. That I do get that call from the listing agent, as if I'm the buyer's agent, and just say, hey, we picked you because you communicated, you called, you didn't just text. You didn't just shoot me an offer and it's in my inbox and I just have to scramble through and happen to find it at the right time. Yes. So that's important to me too, is just winning them over and building their trust as well, to know that they're choosing a client that's vetted, fully approved and ready to go. They have the money. I'm working with great lenders that I trust and have been doing this for years and years. And also that I'll be there to communicate as well, and my team. So that is really important. Okay, so let's get back to land. So I know you had some specific questions when we were chatting a little while ago about, if, let's say, if you were to wave your magic wand right now and you and Bill were to be looking for an acreage, what are the things, I know you talked a little bit about easements and setbacks, but what are the things that are most important to you, and how would that be helpful for us to communicate maybe to those watching, these are the things to look for or be curious about?
Sure. I think first and foremost, we want to have that understanding of where the setbacks are, what easements look like, and what potential building may occur around a property. If there is any oil or gas that potentially could come in, is there an existing line? Those types of pieces we needed to know about. And if we're looking at a new property, those things become really integral with understanding everything we need to know about the property and if that's going to be a good fit for us.
Yes. So tell me a little about easements and setbacks. What would be specifically why you'd be curious about that? Would it be for outbuildings? Would it be for additions on homes? How would that be helpful?
Certainly. And in the past, what we had looked at was an easement that dictated really where our barn was going to be built. And so we had to take some considerations. And as you are able to have the right contacts, make sure that we're talking to the right people. Is this happening? Is this particular easement still in place? How old is the easement? What direction do we need to take to see if we can actually put our barn where we want it or need to make some type of adjustment around that?
Okay.
So that is a really big deal. If we're looking at potential new build around us, if there is development that's going to be occurring around the building, those are things that we want to be able to know.
Yeah. That is super important, and especially with the development and where we're at. I mean,
Right.
things are popping up constantly,
Yes.
and then old stuff too that maybe we didn't know. And it's nice to be able to use your title company. You know, I'm constantly leaning on them to pull up certain items that are helpful for
Right.
you as a buyer or even a seller, and also the town too. You know, getting in touch with the town, the planning department, and just asking those questions. So that's something I kind of enjoy because it's kind of like I don't know, a wild goose chase in a way. But then you also get your answers and can make an informed decision.
Yeah, being the detective in the whole scene
Yeah.
is so important.
Yeah.
Understanding like where your resources are. Is it town? Is it county? What that even looks like.
Yep.
We're in unincorporated right now. And so I think that is something you have a great understanding of as far as where are you supposed to go, who do you talk to, and having those contacts set up long before we even
Yeah.
needed them just adds to that trust level for us. It's a big deal.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. I think it's a big deal too, especially when you're making the biggest purchase of your life,
Right.
really.
Right.
And then really looking to put down roots and build what you've built here, which is one of my favorite places to be. Thanks for letting me host it on your porch because I love being here. So let's talk a little bit about, you know, again, if you're looking to buy, what do you feel is the first step in buying? Like, how do you, you know, when you and Bill are looking to buy or you know it's time, when do you know
Right.
it's time?
When do I know it's time? I guess when I'm really looking for a realtor to help me explore, to help us sort of nail some ideas down, I feel like you're a really great sounding board. And I would say, look, Lindsay, these are some things that I'm looking for. Is this realistic? Here are our wants. Here are some of the non-negotiables. So I kind of go like dream, non-negotiable.
Yeah.
We don't even want to look at the property kind of step. So as we kind of look down, and when I think of a realtor that's going to be able to do that, I know that you understand where we're coming from. We don't want to waste time when
Right.
it comes to going out and spending our weekend or a weekday evening
Yeah.
and going out to look at a property if it doesn't even fit the bill. Like, we don't want to take that time.
Yeah.
So I know that when I tell you these are things that we're really looking for or what our non-negotiables are, you're going to take that to heart and go, okay, I've seen some properties,
Yeah.
they have potential, but it's not going to fit right here.
Yeah.
And so finding the fit, being able to trust that you have the knowledge and the even consideration of saying, oh, okay, yeah, Rebecca's not going to want this. Or no, we're going to try this one out because I think there might be something here. I think you really work to understand the client's likes, needs, and vision even.
Yeah.
And that makes it super fun. So when we're looking, we need a real estate agent that's going to do that for us.
Yeah.
But then I need all that technical service that you've got behind you that helps us go, okay, this is how we make it work.
Yes.
And that is a big deal.
Okay, good. So one of the things I do, as you know, is I set up, you know, I can go into our MLS system and I can take everything that you've told to me and I can, well, not everything, right? Like I can't specify is the house white.
Right.
But, you know, there's a lot of things I can specify. How many acres? Can you have horses? Et cetera, et cetera. And I can go in and fine tune that and then it automatically emails you. So really, you're the first to know. So it goes into the MLS, it shoots you an email if it hits your criteria, and then you guys can decide, yep, no, or let's go see it. And that's a fun part of the process. But I think to get there, you're right, an agent has to hear what their clients want. You know, just a quick little like, oh, I found this agent on Zillow, she's gonna go show me this house or whatever. That's fine, but sometimes it's nice to be able to really sit down ahead of time, What are your hopes, dreams, goals? What are you looking for? Let's get down to the nitty gritty and let's set up the right search. So like you said, you guys are way too busy to be filtering through 400 listings,
Right.
when there's really
Yeah.
probably 2 on the market right now that would even be intriguing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and that's a big deal. Like, I don't understand people that are doing like 100% virtual. I need a human.
Yeah.
I need the real person to be able to walk us through, to hear me, all of those things. And so when we think about a real estate agent, I think that's the most important part. Like, we need a person
Yeah.
that's going to hear all of the things that we need.
Yeah. Something else that I think is really important, and I know you've experienced this as well as your kiddos, is negotiation. So to get you under contract, is the market as competitive as it was last year? Not always, but sometimes. And so making sure that your agent is well versed on how to write a clean, strong offer. And I think that's undervalued a lot. Or as just somebody that doesn't do real estate every day, how would you know what's a clean, strong offer? So that's something that I found is super important. And then after you get under contract, what do you think was the most stressful part of, like, okay, now I'm under contract, what do I do next?
When we're trying to understand what appraisal looks like, what inspection looks like, and sort of the waiting game that comes with both of those things, I feel like you were able to talk us through that, and then in turn talk our children through this and go, look, this is the most important thing when we're looking at appraisal. Here's what we need when we're looking at inspection. What should we ask for in turn? And walking through the whole process that's involved, I think, especially with inspection, to ensure that the home that they're entering into as new buyers, or even as veteran buyers, that we know what we're getting, we feel solid in that process. And then if we've got questions about, hey, Lindsay, what is this? You're able to say, oh, this is such and such, and you're able to put like some words and context around that makes us feel like, okay, we've got this.
I think it's really important too to have resources, for referrals. So for example, there was a sewer issue, and it was a big sewer issue. And just knowing, I think the initial cost behind it, I think the sellers were pretty like, we're not going to cover that. But when I brought a reputable plumber onto the scene and got a better bid, it changed everything. So now sellers are on board to fix it, and the buyers are not fronting that cost. And now they're moving into a home where we've been through inspections and we know what's the most important thing to pursue here. We can't pick apart the house, there's chip paint here and but a sewer issue, that's huge. And I tell all my buyers, you will get a sewer report. You will get a sewer spill. You have to. I'm not allowing you to because it's the big unknown.
You know what those things are. You know, like, this is what you have to have. These are things to think about.
Yes.
It's
it's huge because it's, with something, a big problem is $2,000 to $15,000 to $20,000. Sure, we can cover, an outlet that may not be working appropriately as long as it's not a fire hazard. But when we're coming up with big stuff, that's huge. Okay, so then something else I like about the process is, even if you've done it, a million times, like you and Bill, you still are like, wait, what was the next step? At least it seems like. So I like to send out an email that says, yay, congratulations, you're under contract, what's next? And then I spell out literally what's next. Inspection phone inspectors that I know, like, and trust, call these guys. Drop off your earnest money check at this office by this date. And this is your earnest money amount. Just those reminders, because you really get in this like state of overwhelm, I think, pretty quickly.
I think so too. That was a huge deal for our kids. They needed to know absolutely when to do this, how to do it, and you completely walk them through that. Other buyers that are like, yes, we've purchased homes before, but busy lifestyle.
Yeah.
You know, everybody has their job that they have to tend to in their regular life, but to know that I've got a checklist and I'm a list person for sure. I need to know, like, am I going to do this today? Yep, it's got to be done today.
Yep.
Here's where I go. This is coming up, so I have some things to anticipate. All of those things are so helpful.
Good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
That's important to me, to just take your hand along the way and get you to the closing table and have a really big celebration at the end.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, thank you so much for doing this with me. Do you have any other questions for me as a buying agent that you just are like dying to know, or?
I don't think so. I think it's just, again, a big deal knowing who's helping you, knowing that we've got help along the way, all of these things that help us to put together where we're headed in our dream. And so that's a huge thank you.
Oh my gosh. Well, I love that I can be a part of your dream, because it's my dream to be alongside of you and your kids and your friends. So it means a lot to me. Thank you.
Thanks, Lindsay.
Thanks for letting me sit on your beautiful porch and ask you lots of fun questions.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Thank you.